Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Kramer is back. Of course, I modified this guitar quite substantially a few episodes ago on this channel. Then I decided to, in a quick stroke of fate or luck or chance or
toxic combination of boredom and insanity,
modify it yet again. So why exactly did I do this when I went to all the trouble of modifying this in the first place, ladies and gentlemen? Well, the answer is simple. I did it all for you. Let me explain further. I picked up this great looking Kramer Baretta special about a week or so ago, and then a thought popped into my head. I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we took the other cheaper guitar, modified that a little bit, just to kind of make it a little bit like the Baretta special here. One pickup, one volume, that's it.
Then check out the bones, compare some tones, and help you decide.
So in other words, the question here would be for you, the viewer, is it going to be the less expensive Kramer Focus that you buy and take the modification route? Or is it going to be the Baretta Special that you buy up front, pay a little bit more money, but have everything all ready for you and ready to go? So folks, to check out what's better for you, we'll see you at the table.
Deep dive.
So let's start with the Focus. You got some changes from the last iteration here. That single humbucker pickguard with the humbucker, and many scratches now due to one of Gibson's suspect finishes. And of course the tap switch to split between full and single in the humbucker. And then I put some steel saddles here. Simple upgrade, but great for sustain and better feeling on the hand. Then if you take into account some of the additional tweaks I've made here, such as of course adjusting the action and doing some minor filing on the fret ends, I'd say this is a pretty good value guitar for the money, even taking into account the modifications we made. And of course I'll provide a cost breakdown later. Let's take a look at the Baretta Special here. Kinda harkens back to the magical summer of 1984 where I was beaten to a pulp by Eddie Van Halen's bodyguards after taking a bite out of his bright red pacer. And anyways, simple as it gets. Single humbucker, single volume, classic Kramer configuration. Now let's check out the neck. On top you've got a Granandillo, I think I pronounced that right, fretboard. It's a smooth and resonant tone wood comparable to Indian rosewood. In this case definitely makes for a nice feeling of playing fretboard. And of course 22 medium jumbo frets with a 12-inch fretboard radius. And of course classic Kramer slim neck, K-slim taper as I think they used to refer to it. Just a very slim C-shaped neck. So for a shredder guitar neck, yeah, awesome. And after the hardware troubles with the Focus, we're back to standard hardware here. These 14:1 keys are pretty standard hardware, but they at least hold tune, unlike the Focus. With that said, here's a common hardware problem that really pisses me off, and again we're seeing it on this guitar. There's nothing worse than not being able to push out a B or an E string on a string change. Ugh, Gibson!
who's to blame?
Let's see. Ah, yes. Now, Sungil is a Korean manufacturer that, of course, produces a lot of different hardware, a lot of really good quality, really good bang for the buck bridges and hardware, but they also produce some cheap hardware. So you're going to get rid of anything, get rid of that bridge straight up. And now that we're back here, beyond that cheap bridge, you've got an unshielded cavity, pretty cheap tremolo springs, and a cheap claw. So you might want to get rid of that whole thing. And in the control cavity, no real surprises here, but really not that bad. Extending from a standard output jack, you've got an unshielded cavity here that looks like it was cut with some precision. And then luckily, as opposed to using a tiny little dime-sized pot, as guitar manufacturers are apt to do, they've opted to use a 500K Jinsung Korean-made pot. Good move, I'm liking what I see here. And they've also taken the step of adding a treble bleed circuit in here as well, which of course just helps maintain your treble output when you turn your volume down. So overall, nice step there, Gibson, Kramer, Epiphone, Kramer, Gibson. And here's a shot of the outside of the output jack. And now that we've moved up slightly in price range from the Focus, we've got a Kramer neck plate. And what that stuff is behind the neck plate, I'm not sure. Alrighty, here's what's behind the neck plate. It looks like a whole glob of what appears to be linseed oil. Smells like it anyways. Yeah, they probably just slapped it on here to make it easier to force those screws into the neck through pretty tight holes. So in this case, cutting corners by excessively lubricating with mineral oil is to our detriment, because it appears after wiping off all that oil that the oil unfortunately has permanently affected the finish. Linseed oil can act as a paint stripper, and in this case it has etched its way into the paint and created this permanent stain. Look at the impact around those bolt holes. Do I even want to know how they did this? Nope. And here's the neck pocket. It's unpainted and it's looking pretty rough, actually. The machining here is definitely not the best example I've seen. And here's the serial ID on the back of the neck. Looks like this was made in the second day of the second month of 2021, but I could be wrong, so please feel free to correct me in the comments if I am incorrect. For all I know, it could have been made in June of 1937. So I really don't know how to read these things, so let me know, guys. Modifications, yeah. So now that we've seen the ins and the outs, the ups and the downs of both guitars from this video and the last Kramer video, gotta point out that the Focus maintains a little bit of an unfair advantage, and of course that's the Coil Tap. So folks, to level the playing field, so to speak, in other words, just to make these two guitars just as functionally and physically egalitarian, I don't really have a better word, as possible, we're going to coil tap this 2-lead humbucker. Now, I know what you're saying. How in the hell do you tap a 2-lead humbucker? Well, first you begin by carefully removing all this hockey tape. Now on this one, it comes off in thin strips, so just go very slowly. Keep peeling it back slowly, and eventually you'll reveal the output end here, and these are the cables going to the output cable, I guess for lack of a better word, of the pickup. So you should immediately see 3 wires in there, and they're kind of tucked in there, so you might have to pull them out a little bit to see them. You've got the main hot output, you've got the ground output, which is kind of black. It's going to be tucked in the back there. And right at the front, luckily, and it should be, hopefully for you, you can see here is the wire you want. This is a white wire that connects the south bobbin, which is the white bobbin, to the north, which is the black bobbin. Now very carefully and slowly pull that south to north wire out. Just extend that out from the pickup here. Now, while I highly recommend you cut this wire in 2, strip both ends, and then splice your wire for your tap in the middle of that, I usually just firmly hold one end of the lead and use a small pair of strippers and kind of expose the lead in the middle. Now, I've done it this way for years. Maybe you could try this on kind of a cheap pickup if you have one lying around. Otherwise, the kind of cut and strip and splice method is probably the safest. So just to make sure everything works, I'm going to test my leads here, and I'm going to test my main hot first. And this seems to work. It comes in at about 14.7, which is good news. And then I'm going to switch over to my tap, and my tap comes in at about 8.69, so we are tapping. So then after you've taken the preferred method of cutting the wire, stripping both ends, laying an adjoining cable in between them, maybe, tying everything together, you could twist everything together somehow. What you can then do is just put a bead of solder on here, or 1 or 2 beads. This is not the best soldering job in the world, but it'll do for now. Don't forget your electrical tape. You want to put a little strip of that over the joint here. You kind of squeeze that in place just to cover that joint, and then you're going to take that lead and you're going to very, very slowly press that back into the body of the pickup, and take that tape and slowly, carefully, and deliberately and wrap that around again. And now you have 3 leads. You're going to have the tap there, just the white wire. Then you're going to have your hot and ground, and you are a certified humbucker coil tap splitter. That's what you've always wanted to be. Okay, so for the coil tap, we're going to use this 500K DPDT switch. All links in the description to where to purchase this. And I'm not going to go too far into the switch wiring because it's just a simple exercise, which you can see here. I'll just leave a link to the wiring diagram in the description.
tones, yeah. Wrap up. Oh, yeah. So, guys, here are the final wrap up and my final thoughts on these Kramer guitars. You know, after playing these guitars for a few weeks now, they're both great value for the money. And the question for you remains, after seeing my video, is it going to be the less expensive Kramer Focus that you buy, put a few mods into here and there, and get yourself a decent playing guitar, like we've done here? Or is it going to be the slightly more expensive Kramer Baretta Special that you purchase, just make a few little tweaks here and there, and you're away to the races? For me, it's a bit of a toss-up. Although I do like the actual smoothness of the neck on the Kramer Focus a little bit better, the overall construction of the body, the neck, and having that all-nickel humbucker is of, better value for me in terms of a guitar I'm going to purchase. So definitely in terms of my preference, I personally pay a little bit more money for the Baretta Special. Just put a few mods into it, and you've got a much better guitar overall. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Always welcome your thoughts. Once again, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, etc., 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 and/or etc. And keep watching the channel for a whole lot more.